Hello and welcome to the Australia Today. I'm your host Jai Bharadwaj, and with me is Pallavi Jain, Amit Sawal, and Sarah L. Gates. Friends, we have a big news. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has warned that he will not tolerate Khalistan menace anymore. He has told that full force of Australian security and police agencies will be felt by these Khalistani goons who are indulging in vandalization of Hindu temples and threatening Hindu community. Let's open this debate with our correspondent, editor Pallavi Jain and Amit Sarwal. I would like to go to Pallavi first. Pallavi, you are the one who broke this news that Prime Minister Albanese has given a big statement before leaving India that all this menace will not be tolerated and the security forces are coming with their full force. What do you understand by Prime Minister's statement, and how will it resonate here in Australia, Melbourne, and Queensland, both, where Khalistan goons have proposed a kind of a referendum kind things?
Jay, let me tell you that Prime Minister Albanese, before leaving back for Australia, he spoke to a couple of journalists there, and he was asked what assurance he has given Prime Minister Modi with regards to the safety of the Indian community, as PM Modi had brought up this issue during the joint press statement. And there, Prime Minister Albanese categorically said that these kind of attacks are not tolerated in Australia, and attacks on religious institutions like temples, mosques, synagogues are absolutely not tolerated, and that the police and the security officials will do their job, and these people will meet the full force of the law. So he was very categorical on that. But I would still say this, that actions speak louder than words. So let's see how that's translated on the ground, because it's been 2 months, since the temple vandalization started, and so far we have not seen any arrests. We saw the violence at Melbourne Federation Square, which is on record, which is on video. We have not seen any arrests there. So let's see what happens. But it is a positive step that at least the Prime Minister of Australia has made it categorically clear that this is not going to be taken lightly, and that the security forces are working on this. As you would know that in the joint press statement, Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi said that, I have to say this with regret, that I'm listening to, that I'm getting reports of Hindu temples being vandalized, and that this is a cause of serious concern, and it's distressing. But he had mentioned in that press conference that Prime Minister Albanese has assured him that the safety of the Indian Australian community is a priority for him. And following on from that, Prime Minister Albanese was asked that question, that what assurance he has given Prime Minister Modi, and therefore he spoke about this, that the attacks on Hindu temples, I mean, they are not going to be just taken lightly. That the police is actually,
Yes.
I mean, the sense one gets is that the police is actively probing this.
Yes. Pallavi, before I go to Amit or Sarah, let me show our viewers what Prime Minister Albanese has said.
Mosques. I gave him the assurance that Australia is a country that respects people's faith, that we don't tolerate the sort of extreme actions and attacks that we've seen on religious buildings, be they Hindu temples, mosques, synagogues, or churches. This has no place in Australia, and we will take every action through our police and also our security agencies to make sure that anyone responsible for this faces the full force of the law. We're a tolerant, multicultural nation, and there is no place in Australia for this action.
So you can understand Prime Minister is very clear in what he's saying, and he actually means it. I was told by a couple of officers who is accompanying Prime Minister Albanese there that he was kind of very unhappy with the kind of picture of because of these Khalistani attacks has been portrayed in India in newspapers and of course in Australia also. So Amit, let me come to you. Are you seeing or are we expected to see something happening in next week or so? Or what is your reading?
My reading at this stage is that it will take some times for the Australian authorities to react, because this is the first time we are actually seeing them acknowledging, yes, there is a Khalistani presence in Australia, and it is becoming a problem for the Australian authorities, because India has highlighted, and to some people it will remind of the 2008-9 racist attacks on Indian student, where the Australian authorities, particularly politicians, first said there is no racism in Australia, Indian students are welcome. And then when the Indian media started highlighting those stories, random attacks, muggings, and showing them as a part of larger pattern, then Australian authorities realized that it was actually becoming a PR nightmare. So Australians are not scared of taking any action, but they are more scared of the PR nightmare that it has got Albanese into at this stage. And remember, they had to take resort by sending an Indian Australian High Commissioner to India to show that Australia is a very not racist society. Everyone is equal, and I think here too they will need help of the Indian origin officers who would be able to tell the Victorian, Queensland, and New South Wales, and obviously ACO, that how dangerous Khalistan movement is. It's not a peaceful movement. You can look at their posters. You can look at their some of the videos they release. They are very violent in nature. As I said in my previous videos as well, that I am all for democratic expression and freedom of expression, and they have every right to do. Any group of people have the right to do peacefully what they want to do, but this is a terrorist movement. It's not a peaceful democratic movement fighting for its right. It has no
Yes.
local standing inside India. It is a movement propped and funded by the ISI of Pakistan, and there are enough proofs to prove that. Foreign agencies have also,
Yes.
uh, agreed to that point. So it's becoming a PR nightmare for Albanese, and it's not the kind of image of Australia that he wants to portray in Indian or any other media.
Okay. Thank you, Amit. That's a quite important point that Australia is, of course, interested in securing and safeguarding their image. Let me go to Sarah. Sarah, what are you seeing? Are you seeing a political nightmare? Are you seeing a security nightmare? Are you seeing a PR campaign going wrong? Or are you seeing that Australian Hindus really scared and being targeted, and they have no recourse for any help or support? What are you seeing? And in light of Prime Minister Albanese's statement and Prime Minister Modi's statement, are we mixing too many things, or we are just reading the wall?
Well, I think the statements of Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Albanese are quite straightforward, and they're impossible to misinterpret. They both take these matters very seriously, and it has had an impact on the relationship between India and Australia, to the extent that Modi is making demands back. We've got a lot to benefit from India, and the different educational, economic, and security partnerships that we've established, which are long-term commitments. And I think that moving forward, this is an opportunity, as I said before, for the Australian public and the Australian government to understand the nature of anti-Hindu hatred and how it impacts on diaspora, and that is the root of the issues that we're facing here and in India as well. And if that's not obvious from the propaganda of seeks for justice, then I don't think there's any way of getting that message through at all. I think that if they can't see this now and they can't understand that Hindus face threats of extremism and proxy terrorists in our country right now, and they're being targeted and their lives are in danger right now, if they can't see that writing on the wall, as you put it, they'll never see it. So it's now or never. It's basically put the money where the mouth is and let's move on and put some systems down, because there's absolutely nothing in place. We've been fighting for a long time to get this issue recognised. So let's put systems down and get people's safety in order first.
Okay. Before I go further, let me show you what Prime Minister Modi has said in that press briefing when Anthony Albanese and himself were doing this joint press statements. Just have a listen.
भारत में सभी लोगों को चिंतित करते हैं। यह खेद का विषय है कि पिछले कुछ सप्ताहों से ऑस्ट्रेलिया में मंदिरों पर हमलों की खबरें नियमित रूप से आ रही है। स्वाभाविक है कि ऐसे समाचार भारत में सभी लोगों को चिंतित करते हैं, हमारे मन को व्यथित करते हैं। हमारी इन भावनाओं और चिंताओं को मैंने प्रधानमंत्री एल्बेनीजी के समक्ष रखा और उन्होंने मुझे आश्वस्त किया है कि भारतीय समुदाय की सेफ्टी उनके लिए विशेष प्राथमिकता है। इस विषय पर हमारी टीम्स नियमित संपर्क में रहेगी और यथासंभव सहयोग करेगी। Friends,
this was Prime Minister Modi speaking there. So, Pallavi, you are in India. What sense are you getting after two strong statements, one by Prime Minister Modi and another one by Anthony Albanese, responding that, yes, I have reassured Indian Prime Minister that we will be taking strictest action against these Khalistan supporters who are trying to intimidate, racially vilificate Hindu community here in Australia?
Well, the sense I'm getting, Jay, is that this is an issue that was discussed at the highest level, and that this issue has been taken very, very seriously. Because, of course, overall, it was a good trip, deepening of bilateral ties, and you can see the pictures, and a lot of agreements were signed as well. A lot of discussions happened. As we have mentioned before, especially the Australia-India education recognition, education qualification and recognition mechanism was finalized, which is a very big development. There were security and defense ties that were discussed. There's also talks of the CECA being finalized soon, which is a comprehensive economic cooperation treaty. So there were hosts of things, issues on renewable energy, and Prime Minister Albanese was on INS Vikrant as well. So overall, as far as optics are concerned, good trip, lots of things being discussed. Prime Minister Albanese was given a ceremonial welcome in Rashtrapati Bhavan. So all in all, a good trip, but clearly it is very, very clear that this was not something that was just one of the points. This issue of Hindu temples being attacked, Khalistani violence happening, and the Indian community in a sense being threatened by these people, by their activities, was something that was of significance between the talks between the two prime ministers. I mean, that is very, very clear, because as we know that a press statement is basically a brief summary of what was discussed. And first for Prime Minister Modi to bring it up in that press statement, and then for Prime Minister Albanese to give such a clear-cut statement on this, means that this is a serious issue. And I won't go so far as to say that, could this potentially derail bilateral ties? Let's hope not. But clearly the Australian authorities will have to act on this, because this is something that is of serious concern to the Indian government, and it should be, because the Indian Australian community is a dynamic, large, vibrant community. It's the second largest community in migrant community in
Yes.
Australia, in enriching Australian society, as Prime Minister Albanese himself has said. So
Pallavi,
to briefly summarize, this issue was a serious issue and a significant issue that was discussed. That is my sense.
Pallavi, we are having a breaking here. I can tell you, the Australia Today team now is being terrorized and threatened by these Khalistan supporters, and especially Sikh for Justice. They have released a video. I won't show you that whole video. However, I'll show you a little snippet of what they are doing, and they are trying to target. In the end of the video, this man Panu, he makes a gesture of gun and tells that he could shoot us. So that's the kind of video this is. This is very disturbing. Khalistan supporters now threatening Australian journalists. Have a look at the video, and then I'll come back to you.
ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅੱਜ ਆਸਟ੍ਰੇਲੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਯੂਕੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਯੂਐਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਹੈ। ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕੋ ਕੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਮਾਰੇ ਜਾ।
So what do we call this? Sarah, you are kind of you work for the safety of Hindu community. How do you see this, and what can we do? Isn't it that our safety is really a risk here? Authorities really need to move on now.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a direct threat, and I don't think it should be taken lightly at all because of the gestures that were used by Panu at the end of the video, which was of a gun. So you can see the difference between Panu when he points and Panu when he's putting two fingers up and he's making the sign of a gun. So it's definitely a threat, and it's a direct threat coming from this organisation, because we know how they work. They use implication and metaphor, and they don't say things directly that we're going to kill you. They say things like the delegates won't be safe in Haryana for G20. And in this particular instance, he's using your photographs, he's targeting you three, and he's using the sign of a gun. So that's a clear threat, and certainly the Australian Federal Police should be sending a team out to you to make sure that you're safe. This is absolutely absurd. I can't believe this is happening in Australia. It goes against every principle that I know about multicultural Australian society, and I have studied this quite intently for many years at the highest academic level. So it's certainly, I'm definitely an expert enough to know that this is against everything that this country stands for, and the AFP absolutely must provide you with some security, because this is madness. This is foreign interference. This is the criteria of foreign interference, is that they're targeting our journalists, and it's abhorrent, and we won't have it. We really must have this moved on very quickly.
So let me understand this. Just 3 weeks back, Claire O'Neill, Home Affairs Minister, made a big statement inside the Parliament of Australia, telling that the foreign interference is on their priority. And the way she defined foreign interference was that coercing Australian multicultural communities and threatening journalists from doing what they do, their job. And this is a video from Avtar Singh Panu, Gurpat Singh Panu, is example of that foreign interference, that they are trying to intimidate Australian journalists, threaten them of killing. This is very serious. Amit, how do you see it?
No, I completely agree with Sarah that this is, if this has happened to any of the mainstream, the so-called mainstream newspaper journalist or any of the public broadcaster, there would be a hue and cry at this stage. ACO would have started taking action. And this is not the first time we are seeing that. As I said, this whole movement is a foreign supported movement, and the Federation Square was one of the prime examples, as Pallavi knows it too, that the prime attackers, and I think Sarah has identified their accent as well, coming from Britain, and some of them had American accents. So the persons who actually attacked, led the attack, not just attack, but led the attack, were actually foreigners who have come here on, maybe tourist visa or reciprocal visas, and then they asked their, their hanger-ons, basically the sidekicks, to keep attacking the people with Indian flags. And this is happening. And as Sarah pointed out, I've also noticed he points one finger and then two fingers to say these are the potential targets that you should be after. And like, I think I would be scared for the safety of not just the journalists but their families as well. And this has been, I think, what Sarah has been trying to say is that Australian authorities haven't been able to send a concrete message to Khalistanis that you are not welcome here. So, as Pallavi said, that mere words are not enough. Authorities must show that they have deported a few people for this thing, because so far, in my knowledge, the ground Khalistani movement in Australia lacks leadership. They actually have no leaders who can come out and say, yes, I am leading the Khalistani movement here. It is people who have come from Canada and UK who are leading them. Once these people go away, the Khalistanis who are, kind of showing some kind of guts here, they will hide back in their closets, because they actually have they are basically using the Khalistani movements to take over the gurdwaras, and management is big business. So they have no interest in actually creating a separate nation. They just want the monies that the gurdwaras control, the people, the kind of the brains, basically they can control. So as I say, I've been telling you from the beginning that the Federation Square, the referendum in Brisbane, Sydney, and other places is just to get street credit. They are using the gangsters, mafias kind of the vocabulary to just gain some street credibility, so that people are terrorized by their mere names. If you say, Guruvant, we are members from SFJ, and then people will go into hiding and they will sign the papers, give you the money, and that's what they want to create. That's what they've created in Canada. Canada doesn't have any, Khalistani as such. They are employing gangsters, former drug addicts, people who are able to use guns, who have used guns. They're recruiting people from the jails in Canada. They're recruiting people from the jails in India. And you have seen the Sidhu Moosewala killing. These people have they have no political ambition as such. So this is just a front to gain respectability amongst human rights agencies. The backdrop of all this movement is violence and terrorism.
Let me show this video one more time to you guys, where this goon is kind of threatening Australia Today team.
ਇਹ ਉਹੀ ਨਸਲ ਹੈ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਕੱਟੜਪੰਥੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅੱਜ ਆਸਟ੍ਰੇਲੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਯੂਕੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਯੂਐਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਹੈ। ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕੋ ਕੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਮਾਰੇ ਜਾ।
So you can kind of see he's straight away in a video which they globally broadcast. Every Khalistani supporter, every Khalistani goon who is armed or otherwise will have this video and will have our pictures where this Gurpat Singh Pannu is gesturing, making the gesture of a gun this way, and trying to guide his supporters to do what he's implying. So Pallavi,
hang on, can you show the last part so that the viewers can see the gesture of the gun, please?
I'll bring it on, Sarah. Let me go to Pallavi. Pallavi, is a global system of their putting in social media on TikToks and Twitters and Facebooks and everywhere. It is a crime in India also. Do you see that Indian authorities will also take or should take cognizance of this?
Jay, we can at our end inform the authorities here, but given that all three of us are Australian journalists and this concerns Australia, I think the initiative has to come from the Australian side. I can tell you that it has been very, very distressing for all three of us. You have been threatened before, you have given evidence to the Victoria Police, but so far nothing has been done. It is almost unbelievable that that you have provided them with a phone number and they haven't been able to track it, or we don't know where the probe is. We don't want to make presumptions, but I think in India even a local police station can probably, if you have the number, you can pretty much know whose number it is. So it has been absolutely distressing, and let's see how quickly the Australian Federal Police reacts to this, because this is basically a direct threat to the three of us. This is intimidation. This is in a way terrorism, if I may use that word. And I don't know what more proof the police needs, because no matter what you believe about anyone, if you are strong on facts, you debate, you discuss. The moment you start threatening people, that itself is a giveaway that what you stand for, and that you're basically you're a propaganda machine, because anybody who is strong on facts will be ready to discuss and debate. And as we have mentioned this again and again, that they are supported by the ISI, because as we know that there has been a Sikh and Hindu genocide in Pakistan, and we know what the ISI is capable of. I mean, this is a security agency that was allegedly harboring Osama bin Laden, because he was obviously found near an army cantonment. So, sometimes things are quite obvious. So this is the agency we are talking about. So they are the ones who are supporting these goons. So I don't know. I just hope that the Australian Federal Police takes this matter really seriously, because this is a outright threat. And I don't want to make any presumptions, but I just hope that we will not be treated any differently than the so-called mainstream media, because obviously if any Australian journalist, forget Australia, was threatened anywhere in the world, I'm sure that that the Australian authorities would take cognizance of it. So I really hope that they will take cognizance of this and act immediately on this threat that has been issued to us, because as I said, one can agree or disagree on issues, but this is absolutely unacceptable. And I can only hope that the Australia that I believed in, that the Australia that I felt, the values of Australia that I have always stood for. I've written opinion pieces on how important those values are, and how important it is to uphold those liberal secular values. I just hope that the Australian authorities, that I was not wrong about Australia.
Jitat, your mic.
Your mic is off.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Sarah, can you give us some understanding how to go about our safeties? Is there any recourse in terms of foreign interference, in terms of Home Affairs Department or AFP or ASIO or local police? Who is responsible for us right now? I mean, where shall we go? These people are directly threatening us to kill. So what are the recourses do we have right now to make ourselves and our families safe?
Well, of course, the first point of contact is the police, your local police. You're going to have to go down to the local police, and because we have an intelligence Queensland counter-terrorism number that you can reference, then that will be directly linked through to the federal police, and it will be connected to this case, because as Albanese said, and I see some reason to be confident that he means what he says, they are actually monitoring this very closely, and they do take it very seriously, and that's why we do have an intelligence number. So the first thing to do is go down to your local police station, and you also are going to have to make it their duty to put on extra patrols around your house. You're going to have to make sure your security is in place and negotiate with the police in order to make a safety plan, because the last thing we need is for our journalists to be going into hiding in this country for simply reporting on the news. This is absurd. And I just wanted to make a point, if you don't mind me adding, that our religious freedom doesn't cover any types of hate or violence and threats of violence. So, and especially where it impacts on our national security in the way that this case has. So there's no argument, there's no debate. This is not about freedom of religion or freedom of expression. At this point now, this is an extremist movement which is threatening the lives of Australian citizens. So it's really, it's breached all boundaries, and the Australian Federal Police can't ignore it. We've given them phone numbers, we've given them names that match the phone numbers. They know who the people are who are organising this, and they know where they're organising it from. We know the involvement of the Gurudwara committees, and that's for a fact. So it's not like they've got nobody to trace. We know who these people are, and they need to act now. This is an offence. What they've done is an offence.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Last word, Amit. How will you see this from tonight? It will be a probably longer night because we'll be reporting it to all the agencies from now onwards. So, how are you seeing? How are you holding up in light of these threats made directly to you?
Look, to be honest, if I say I'm not scared, that would be not true. Because when you're reporting, you're not just reporting things, you're reporting facts, and these people have no love for facts. And this is the same, but the guy in the video is could have done good business as a comic, but because this is the guy who was running away from questions when we gave him and his organization a chance to come up and answer the questions, what they want, why Australia. We were ready to send them the questions as well, but these are the folks who cannot even pass an exam with the questions given to them. And this is an organization that and they have created, I'm like, I've done a PhD on South Asian diaspora in Australia. I know their issues, just like Sarah knows the issues here. I have never come across any of these extremist movements making home in Australia. Australia has been a very welcoming, peaceful society. It has its own problems that multicultural brings and the cultural baggages that people bring, but this has never entered Australian soil, unlike Canada and Australia, UK and USA now. What these people do not understand is that there are people who want to call Australia home, and they want to move out of this thing. So we have kind of, through our investigations, pointed out a nexus of migration agents, public broadcasters, advisors to politicians and political parties, some politicians who have no understanding of the issue, but they still write letters what their advisors give them, and they just sign the letters without even knowing the basic facts about who they are writing the letters for. They have created aid organizations to win national awards. They have created hero-like figures who will say, come out on stage, talk about racism while being racist at the same time and communal at the same time. So they have used the system to their benefit. They have actually rotted the system, as the Australians like to call. They have rotted the system, and they are using everything that they can use to terrorize. They are using it's basically a social media movement at this stage, where it lacks. You will see hundreds of cars while not realizing it's driven by one person. So there's just the driver who's driving it with the flag on, and then they will tell everyone. I think Sarah was there in Brisbane when she saw the chaos they caused on the highway without following any of the rules. But it has started to appear to some people like there are two rules for two different communities. While I just saw that one of the public broadcasters changed the headlines of their news from Khalistan to something random, which doesn't even make sense anymore. So they have hired people in think tanks as well. I assume they are paying people in the think tanks, white Australians, sadly, to terrorize other journalists and go after them on social media, go give them a guilt trip. So I'm happy, to sum up, that Modi raised this issue. I'm happy that the Australia Today was at the forefront of reporting this news while mainstream media had no knowledge of what Khalistan is, and the public broadcasters were trying to sweep it under the carpet and trying to blame it on Hindus by raising the boogeyman of Hindutva terrorism, which doesn't exist, as has been pointed by so many scholars, policymakers. So I'm happy that Albanese has responded. It is actually good on Albu to respond to Modi rather than feeling hurt that he has, he was a guest and then he has been told to take care of something in his home country. So it's good on him that he has responded, and I think he has responded like a true leader of a nation that he believes in. But now it's up to, as Sarah has been saying, as Pallavi says, it is up to the authorities to actually take action and make sure that journalists, not just us, because if they are coming after us, then they are going to come after ABC, SBS, whoever they are not happy with. It's as simple as that. There are no friends for these people at any place. So they will come after other journalists as well. They have come after Australian. I'm not surprised. Australia Today, they will come after the others. So it is time that the Australian authorities take this threat seriously. Learn from the Canadian experience. Learn from the UK experience recently. Whatever has happened in UK. So if Australian authorities are not learning, then sadly there is no point of we putting up stories out there, putting it with facts, because the whole point of doing stories is that someone is listening and doing something.
Thank you so much, Amit. Thank you. And I will only say one thing, that we will not be scared of these Khalistani goons. I will not be scared of you, Mr. Panu. We will do our story day in and day out, and we'll expose your agenda more so. We are not scared of you. Pallavi, you wanted to comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to make one last point, Jay, that you don't need 100 mad people to do something. Even one mad person is enough to cause a lot of damage. So once again, if the authorities are listening, please take this seriously. I mean, you don't want to do something after something has happened. This is a clear threat towards us. And also want to make this point again and again. We make this point that Sikhs are not Khalistanis. It's time that this fake, nonsensical lies that is being peddled by very few people, that somehow this is an intra Indian community issue, Hindu Sikh issue. It is not. Hindus and Sikhs are together in this. The Indian community is together in this. Khalistanis have had a terrorist movement. They were responsible for killing over 300 people, including Canadian citizens. So let's get to the facts. This is not about the Indian community or just about intra-community issues. This is a threat for all Australians, not just for Indian Australians. So it's starting with us, but let's hope that the authorities take this really, really seriously.
Can I just add to this? I'm an Australian citizen. Obviously, I'm a white woman, and everybody knows that. And just for standing up against this, I've been targeted. They made a 19-minute video with my tweets in it, mocking me and joking around about my safety measures that I was implementing, and ironic statements that were made. I got a whole 19 minutes on Khalistani TV in Canada. So now my face is also everywhere among the Canadian Khalistan movement. And I don't know if Albanese can relate to this. I'm sure he can, as the Prime Minister, but when they use your name, your identity and your face, that makes you a potential target to anyone who watches that, which creates a sense of all-pervasive threat and fear, which is what terrorists do. So it's just disgusting that Australian citizens like myself and like you three are being targeted by a foreign organisation, and that they let these people into our country. They shouldn't have even got a visa, and it's just gone way too far. I think we'll all agree with that, if you don't mind.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I'll kind of leave you, show you one more time what these Khalistan goons are doing in this video.
ਇਹ ਉਹੀ ਨਸਲ ਹੈ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਕੱਟੜਪੰਥੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅੱਜ ਆਸਟ੍ਰੇਲੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਯੂਕੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਯੂਐਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਹੈ। ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕੋ ਕੇ
This
Wait to
rule-
the end. Play the end, please, Jitath. They need to see the last part.
yeah, I don't want to go through the whole thing, but okay, let me try if I got that thing again in different file. Let
It's
me
just the
have,
last 10 seconds.
yeah, I'll put that last 10 seconds then. Okay, I'm trying to get there last 10 seconds. If yes, this is it. Have a look. What
See,
he's
there it
doing.
is.
I'll put it again here.
ਖੰਡਾ ਖਾਲਿਸਤਾਨ ਮਸਲ ਦਿਆਂਗੇ
There you
ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ।
This is what he's trying to do. He's showing his supporters, yes, making a gesture of gun and telling everyone this is what you need to do when you see XYZ people. So it's very distressing, very stressing towards the fact that Australian authorities have to act now. We don't have much time. You got to do it now. But as Pallavi said, the first phone call I received was from my Sikh friend who said that I saw this video and I'm giving you a call. That give me a call whenever you want. I'm here always for you. So this is our society. But these Khalistan supporters and foreign entities don't understand how Australian Indian society works. And we will defeat them. We are not scared of them. That's the message. That's where I leave all of you to ponder upon and ask your MPs, your local leaders, local police officers to act on these Khalistan supporters who are trying to threaten and sow the hatred between the communities. Thank you so much for watching us.
Thank you.